right, very, very good afternoon, everybody. We are yet again joined here together to celebrate this lunch hour. As usual, every month, Springboard Capital brings you some nuggets to make sure that you're able to run your business more efficiently and, more importantly, more profitably. Now, October is the month of the customer. All months are for the customer, but this particular month, we celebrate the customer, we appreciate them. It is like their birthday of sorts, so that we remember them and just appreciate how important they are to our business. And in the first week of October, we held the Customer Service Week. And so it is only befitting that our webinar this month be about the customer. And so we are happy to have all of you to speak to you about customer excellence and how we can use that to leverage and make money for our businesses and make our businesses more profitable, more successful, so that our marketing efforts are supported by customer service. Now, today we have a very important person. And before I tell you about her, I know we are all excited about the vacation of the curfew. And so everybody's enthusiastic about business and there's optimism. We are seeing that there will be hope in our businesses. So we really, really need to capture her session very importantly, so that as we all run into making profit this period, we have a lot of knowledge in customer service management. We're joined by Florence Wamatu. I'll tell you about Florence Wamatu. I'm not too sure if I'll do her justice. Florence Wamatu is an edupreneur. She specializes in leadership transformation. She's the founder and CEO, Maple Varieties Consulting. Florence has over 18 years experience in the corporate world, cutting across different spheres of management, from administrative to operational and to customer excellence. She's totally well rooted in customer experience because she's a member of the ICX Kenya. She's a member of Women in Customer Experience. Keynote speaker you don't just get any time. And she's an enthusiast for women and the youth. So we are honored to have her today. So I'll welcome Florence to take over. Let us learn. Let us acknowledge everything that we learn. And I believe our businesses will be changed for the better. Florence, karibu sana.
Thank you, Anastasia. Everybody, welcome this afternoon. That is such a powerful introduction. I'm so glad to be here this afternoon to share with you a few nuggets on how we can improve our customer experience. I like that Anastasia really spoke about the serious things I do, but I also, when I'm not doing all those very serious things, I am actually an adrenaline junkie. So I do some crazy things. I've been on the fastest roller coaster in the world. So I love adrenaline. I love adventure. So should you find me doing one of those, don't be shocked that it's the same Florence you saw behind the screens. So this afternoon, I would like us to begin our discussion. I'll just share my screen so that you're able to follow through. So today I want us to begin our discussion with a question to ourselves. And the question I'm going to ask you today, as we go through the discussion, I want you to have it at the back of your mind. How many of us still go to the same hairdresser? Or if you are a gentleman, how many of us still go to the same barber? So you still go to the same kinyozi. Or you are a lady and you follow your hairdresser. Even if she moves from Buruburu and goes to Kitengela, you follow her. So just ask yourself, as we are discussing today, why is it that I follow my hairdresser? Where do I have to, if she changes position or location, why do I still go to her? As we discuss, start thinking about that, because to her you're a customer, and now see it from the other side. I also want us to begin our discussion today. Facts on research. This is always good to highlight so that it doesn't look like it is Florence coming up with her own stories. A few facts and research that have been done that touch on a customer experience. Number one is that you have a 60 to 70% chance of selling to an existing customer, while you only have a 5 to 20% to change a chance of selling to a new prospect. That has a spelling right there. So we are saying that you have 60% chance of selling to an existing customer, a customer that you already have. Then the other fact that we have is that it is 6 to 7 times more costly to acquire a new customer than maintain an existing one. I'll repeat that. It is 6 to 7 times more costly to acquire a new customer than maintain an existing one. Another research factor I would like us to hold on as we begin our discussion today is that 91% of customers who had a bad experience will willingly not do business with you again. So if someone had a bad experience with your organization, 91% of those customers will probably not ever do business again. However, 70% of those unhappy customers whose issues were satisfactorily resolved, they said that they would actually do business with you again. So those are some facts that I would like us to hold on to as we begin our discussion. So I'll go straight on to why is customer or good customer experience important? And the first thing that comes into my mind is that good customer experience helps us to attract new customers. We have just seen how difficult it is to already get a customer. But when you have good customer experience, you acquire new customers very easily. So we are saying that it supports customer acquisition. The second pointer is that good customer experience helps us to retain our existing customers. We've just seen that from the facts that it is actually easier to deal with a customer that we already have, the one that is already in our pocket, than trying to attract a new one. Think about the cost that goes into trying to acquire a new customer in this case. Imagine the marketing costs. Imagine the effort you'll have to make. Imagine the resources you'll have to put through to try and attract a new customer. But when you already have the one that is with you, it is already something that is good for you in the sense that customer that is with you is going to actually continue to give you more business. A good customer experience allows your customers to be loyal to your business. Loyalty meaning that all the choices that they have from your competition, they choose to do business with you. So they give you repeat business. So they will not go to the other shop next door. They will come back to your shop because of the good customer experience that they have experienced. The other thing that a good customer experience does is that it gives you a competitive edge. You tend to gain a higher market share because then if all these customers are coming back, then it means your market share is actually bigger or larger than your competitor. So it also helps you to have an edge over your competition. Good customer experience helps you to gain some brand advocate from your customers. Imagine the customers that you already have, how much they actually speak good of your brand, how much they sell you out to their friends, to their families, how much they post on their social media accounts, how proud they are of your organization, or how much they like your organization. So you're already having customers advocating for your brand. So you don't have to put in any marketing costs to sell your brand. Somebody is already doing it for you. The issue of brand equity, your worth as a brand, as a company, that the reputation that comes with good customer experience is not something that you'll have to put a billboard to talk about. The customers will already do that for you. There will be good reputation of your organization. We will attract new talent. This is a big one for me because most of the times we tend to think that people only are attracted to you because they're customers. You need to attract the internal customer too. That is the employee. What kind of employee is your brand attracting? So if you already have good customer experience, the culture in there is that of treating people humanely, because you cannot treat a customer well if you're not treating your internal customer well. So already that gives you a head start with attracting talent. So whenever you advertise a job, everybody wants to work in your organization. So good customer experience also attracts good talent. All this brings about business growth. So everything that we've talked about now brings about business growth because then it translates to increased revenue. Remember, all these things are working for your good. So you're not having to really spend so much as a special budget to really go out to do these things. The customers are going through actually translates to this increased revenue. And so finally, that is how important customer experience is in terms of business and its profitability. So I hope as we are thinking about the question whether customer experience is the new marketing, whether you now can try and relate. When we think about the old marketing mix that existed, price of product, price, place, and promotion. So today, when we think about that, how has experience really turned things around in terms of that mix? And to be honest, the marketers have had to review this mix. They are now having a very different mix just to match up to what the customer needs are. And for example, just to share is that, for example, for what they before would sell as a product, today's customer customer doesn't want to hear about the product. They want to be told what's the value add of this product to them. So it's about what is in it for them, not what the organization really thinks is good to them. When it comes to something like the place, we no longer, 80% of business is now online. We no longer have to go to a physical location. So again, it is about that convenience. It's about how are you making it accessible to your customers. So when we look at all these aspects, they are all talking to the experience that the customer is looking for when they are doing business with you. They no longer want to be told about what your business does on billboards. They want to be informed about what you're offering. They want to be more educated about what you're offering. So it's again about the experience. What is it that I am getting out of your product, not necessarily what your product is about. So since we've seen that customer experience is important, so now that we've seen what good customer experience does, you probably are asking then how, if I'm trying to figure out, then where do I begin work on my customer experience? These are the three things I would like you to look at. You probably are sitting there and you're thinking, okay, now that I know what it does, but where do I begin? Where do I start? And I have these 3 pointers that can help you find your customer experience. The very first thing you need to do is you need to ask yourself, how does your customer currently describe you? Have you ever even stopped for a second to just think about what your customer really thinks or describes you? Or are you just putting out products and pushing things to them, but you've never even stopped to really just find out how they even describe you? How would you like your customer to describe you? That's the other point that way. So if this is how they are currently describing you, the next step would be then how would I want them to describe me as a business person? How would you want your customer to describe you? So you do have this real situation where this is how the customer sees you, but this is what you're saying, this is how you would like them to actually see you or describe you. And then finally, you need to check, then how do I achieve this desired description? This description of how I would want my customer to feel when they are consuming our services or they're buying our products. What is this desire that I have that finally, when they go home, this is what I would want them, for example, to post on their social media about me, about my service or about my product. So you need to describe that desired description. Now, there's a word of caution here that as you're doing these 3 steps, I want to bring in the aspect that customer experience is not an individual assignment. So you're not going to sit down yourself as the CEO or as the owner of the business or you're the one in charge and just think you're going to do this alone. So just as that picture illustrates that, it requires teamwork. It requires a lot of engagement. Get everybody within your organization, regardless of what their position is, get everybody in, let it be a very consultative process where everybody goes through this process so that you all agree and shape how you want your customer experience to look like. Some of us have been putting a lot of customer experience efforts and they are not bearing fruit. And we're always asking ourselves, what is the problem? And the problem is that you're actually putting in so many efforts, but you actually jumped this very important stage. You jumped the point of actually describing or defining it. So define what you want your customer experience to look like. So you start supporting it with resources, with technology, with changing your processes or introducing new things. So first of all, define it. Otherwise, all your effort will be in futility. So we've seen how we need to define our customer experience. But now I have defined it. I want to assume now I have learned these 3 steps I will follow to define. Then how will I actually know then that this is, once I have this, what goes next? What will support me? What are the pillars that I will need to put in place to support this foundation of mine that I have laid? Because really, when you define the customer experience, then you need some pillars that are going to support it so that you get into the excellence. And now I'm going to share with you some of the most critical pillars, regardless of what industry you are in, regardless of what your business is like, regardless of the size of your business. If you use these pillars for your business, they're actually going to make your customer experience very successful. Number 1, we always say you meet your customer expectations. In this case, if you are really going to stand out, everybody is almost meeting. We are now saying try and exceed. So because the customers today is very demanding. If you're just meeting, it means you're actually just average. With time, they will get someone who is actually exceeding. And by exceeding, what are we saying? We are saying you need to have some wow effects in your customer experience. What is this that will wow them? What is this that will stand out from the shop next door? What is this that will stand out from your competitor? It is only by actually actually having those wow moments, things that are actually special, something that stands out in your experience. Number 2 is personalization. One of the things that really massages human beings in this world is actually to feel personalized. You feel recognized. You feel that my issue has been addressed individually. So everybody wants to actually feel that I was given the attention as me, not as a crowd. So even when we are sending communication, think about today, we send mass communication. So you send a WhatsApp, same WhatsApp, everybody. And out of that, everybody can always tell those computer-generated messages. You're looking at personalizing your issues. Look at opportunities within your business where you can actually personalize your customer experience. Personalization can be something as simple as addressing me by my name. When I actually receive a communication from your organization and it doesn't say dear sir stroke madam, and it just says dear Florence, it already tells me that this business is actually doing business with me. It's not doing it with everybody. At that point, I just know they are actually talking to me. So look out for areas where you can personalize your experience. The third thing that businesses have always never realized that is a catch when it comes to customer experience is trust and integrity. When we talk trust and integrity, it can actually be a whole lot of myriad of things that you may need to look at. But most importantly, it is about keeping the promise. So if you made a promise to a customer when you are onboarding them, ensure that you actually just keep that promise. If you are in a business like what we do with Springboard today, and maybe there are some paperwork we do before we take our products, do we highlight, for example, fine print where you say, when I was applying for that product, you never told me these are the penalties? That is what we talk about, trust and integrity. So if you're selling to somebody a product, let them know right from the start, both the bold and the fine print. So let's have integrity in our businesses. Let's keep the promise, because a customer who trusts you will actually come back to you. What about convenience? One of the things that COVID has taught us is that business you can wake up one day and you are forced to do business in a different way. COVID came and we had to close shop and work from home. And for once, everybody thought we would never work if I'm not at my desk. And what it did was most of our organizations were now forced to quickly fast track their digital transformation, because every customer now was looking for this convenience. I want to do everything in a very convenient way. When we look at this convenience, think about things that you make your customers do. For example, if it is that same form I was talking about, how long does it take me, or does it request of your customer to put in the effort? How much time and effort is required for them to just access your product? Is it requiring them to fill 5 pages of forms that have a very difficult language to understand? How convenient is it? Am I able to transact right from my seat in my sitting room? Or do I still need to come to your shop? So look out for convenience. Everybody right now is actually looking for businesses that can offer convenience. So look out for that in your business. Where is it you can make it convenient, very effortless for your customer, and just make sure that your processes are very, very summarized, very easy to deal with. Now, there is the other big one. Don't be cheated by my small bullet that I have made it in the smallest font size. It was actually to catch your attention. Resolution. Now, this is where the strength lies. We are saying that most of the time, it doesn't matter how good we shall be with our customer experience implementation of our initiatives. Once in a while, something will go wrong. But we are saying, from the facts that we saw, what happens when a customer is unhappy with you? So we saw 90% of them might never do business with you. But again, we saw that if you resolve those issues, 70% of them will come back and will continue to do business with you. So we cannot wish away the issue of resolution. So have your plans, implement ways and means of how you address the issues when your service drops. So have an action on that one. Then we go to competence. Everybody is looking to get to work with an organization that is competent. When we talk about competent, we bring in even our staff. We are thinking about employees, whoever is interacting with your organization. We are looking at the systems that you have in your organization. Are they those systems that will be hanging on me, or are not, they take too long to move me to the next step, or their usability is so difficult? So it's about competence. So in everything that your customer is to do, does it demonstrate competence? And then there's the very final one that is actually very now critical to customers today. It's the empathy. When we talk about empathy today, customers are looking to do business with businesses that actually feel that they take care of their feelings. They understand their feelings and they feel them. COVID actually has tested us because it was a difficult time for everybody. So if you're a business, for example, you are not going to be able to meet monthly loan payments. We saw a lot of businesses coming in and just giving people some time, extending their time. So what are the opportunities you have in your business to show your customer that you actually have empathy? So look out for that too. Now, we've done all these nice things. We have the pillars. We've learned that we have those pillars, but service still drops. That is inevitable because customer experience is actually affected by both controlled and uncontrolled aspects. There are some things that you will have nicely planned. You will have put across all the best steps forward. You have the best staff, the best systems, but once in a while, service still drops. What happens when service drops for most of us? The first thing that happens when service drops is that we have customers coming back to complain to us about what the experience was like. What do we usually do about customer complaints? If there's something you'll need to remember out of today's class, if you're the kind of person who actually does not like to hear complaints or customer complaints, then I want to change your mind today, because number one, there are some facts too about unhappy customers. And one of the facts is that for every one customer who takes time to raise a complaint with you, there are another 26 who are silent about it. Now, these facts or this research or study was actually done before the current digital transformation where everybody now can go on Twitter or put their complaint everywhere. It was actually done when it was not as fully grown as today. So just imagine that for every one customer who comes to complain about something with the organization, there are another 26 that are silent about it. And we have already seen what happens when a customer is unhappy. So you're already assuming these 26 are already gone. This one who has come to tell you, has told you 26 of them are not going to tell you, they probably will never come back. Now, the other fact that is that on average, an unhappy or dissatisfied customer will tell 8 to 16 people about their experience. So we've already seen that only one of them will come tell you. But out of those, they will actually go and tell another 8 to 16 people. So they've left you out, but they are now telling other people about their very bad experience with you. So if you ever see any customer coming to complain to you, please be so excited, because number one, that is a customer who is already giving you feedback. A lot of organizations are actually having to invest in surveys to try and get feedback from customers. But here is a customer who has generally is just giving you that same feedback that you need to be able to know where you need to improve. So you should always appreciate customer complaints when they come to you. We've already spoken about 2 facts that I've listed there. So when we have that customer who is fuming like that emoji, let it not look to you like a bad something that is, it's actually an investment. In my corporate experience, I actually realized that some of my best learnings actually came from customer complaints. Some of the best ideas I actually implemented came from a customer complaint. Either it came in as in a written text or someone's call. And when you realize, when you get these customers that unhappy, they actually have a lot of ideas that they can share with you that can actually improve your business. So I always used to look out for those opportunities where customers say, I was not happy this happened. Why wouldn't you do it like this? And I just actually ask yourself, actually, why haven't we ever implemented something like that? So I've always looked at customer complaint as value add to customer experience. But you probably then you're saying, okay, then tell us, Flo, as you've told us, Florence, that it is good to hear these complaints. How do I resolve these complaints? When a customer comes fuming like this, what do I need to do? And now we are talking about service recovery. So when things go wrong, I'm going to share with you, in the interest of time, something that I used, worked, it's tested, I love it, and I use it for any situation. So I will introduce you to the 5 ways of service recovery. And when we talk about service recovery, what are we saying? We're just saying we are trying to turn a bad customer moment to a good one, trying to recover this customer that, yes, we dropped the ball, you were unhappy with us, but we are offering you this, that you may still come and do business with us. So this is a time to take your pen. You will need these five A's. I will try and explain them in the very simple way that all of us can understand, and let it be your take home and go and try and practice it. So number one, the first thing that you do when you have an unhappy customer, number one is that you need to anticipate their customer needs. So you are not the kind of person that is sitting in your business today and you're just waiting for complaints to start coming. No, you saying, because I have been to Florence's webinar today, I learned that I need to actually prepare. So you need to go back to your business and look at all the complaints that come through relating to your business. Try and group them. Try and understand them. Most of the time, complaints will always be grouped into three things. Number one, they will be relating to the service. So how probably the service was offered. Number two, they will be relating to your product. Maybe your offering, whatever you're offering maybe is good enough. And the third one will always be about your business processes. So it is going to be probably your system is not good, is not friendly, it was not, your website was very difficult to navigate. So they're always going to fall under those three buckets. Now try and start anticipating. When we have a service drop within these three buckets, what are we going to do? So we are saying we are not going to just be sitting and wait for the complaints to come. We are going to say whenever there is a complaint regarding late payment, what are we going to do? So you are going to already have a plan that is known to everybody, because you have classified the issues that come through that affect your business, and you actually try and have solutions for them way before they happen, because you are saying some of these things are inevitable. So try to anticipate and actually have a solution. So if, for example, you have a frontline staff, the agent, for those of you who've had a chance to go to the 5-star, the 6-stars, the 7-star hotels, and you actually are at the check-in desk, it is very rare that you'll ever hear that agent calling anybody else to come and resolve your issue, regardless of what it is. Because what those hotels do is that they actually have this, they call it the service recovery tool. They have this tool where they have already actually anticipated, and they have equipped this agent, the customer service agent, that should anyone come and complain about my room not being ready at check-in. If you go to those hotels, most of the time they tell you, I'm sorry, your room is not ready, but in the meantime, I'll ask you to go to the restaurant and you can have a meal on us. So they already know. They have actually bucketed their issues, and they already have made a provision for how they actually address those issues way in advance. Number two is to acknowledge. So imagine that customer on the phone call who is actually screaming, is so annoyed with you. And the first thing that we all do, I want all of us to already imagine we are all on the phone call. We've had this experience. Someone is very unhappy with us. They are screaming. And the very first thing we say is that I am sorry. And by the time you're done with saying you're sorry, the customer screams even harder. And you're like, why isn't this lady hearing my sorry? I said, I am sorry. Because you skipped a step. You skipped number two. Number two talks about acknowledging the customer's feelings. Now, you may ask me, how am I going to acknowledge what feeling they are going through? This is the trick. The trick is that whenever a customer is unhappy with you and they are in front of you, or they're on phone, or they're even writing, for you to be able to pick what feeling they are trying to exude from your experience, they will use specific words. So a person will always express their feelings with specific words. So they will usually say, I am so frustrated, Anastasia, with your business, or I am so devastated, or I'm so disappointed. Then Anastasia will usually say, I am very sorry. And the lady is wondering, what do you mean you're sorry? Because what is supposed to happen when someone tells you, and you now pick the cue that they're saying they're disappointed, to show acknowledgement of their feeling, you actually repeat the same word that they use to express their feeling. So whether it is in an email you're replying, the person said, I am disappointed with. So in your response here, you actually respond and say, I acknowledge that we disappointed you. Please don't respond to someone who said, I am disappointed with you, and you're telling them, I understand your frustration. They didn't say they are frustrated. They said they're disappointed. Now, disappointment and frustration are two different feelings. Now, the moment you use a different word, it immediately tells the customer, you have not even felt me. So they want to feel, what you're trying to do at this point is you're trying to bring the customer to the point of making them feel that I do understand your feeling, the exact feeling you're feeling. So if they talk about pain, I'm in so much pain, then just say, I understand your pain, or we caused you some pain. So use the same words. I hope we are learning some. Now, the moment you do that, what you actually realize, you actually notice the customer calming down. So they tend to calm down. Now they realize that, oh, okay, we are now on the same page. Now we can talk. It is now at this point that you now apologize. So please do not apologize before you acknowledge the feeling. So apology in this case is just as simple as it is. I am very sorry. So you actually begin by saying, I acknowledge we disappointed you on this occasion, and for that, I am very sorry. So you say the sorry after you have acknowledged the feeling. The 5th A of service recovery is to agree. So after you have said, I'm very sorry, please don't say sorry and stop there. You have to have this. This is where now you bring in what you have in store for this customer. You need to fix the problem. Don't just say sorry and stop there. You need to offer something. So it's either going to be a solution, it's going to be a voucher. There are those who will offer a voucher. So this is at the point where you now fix. If it's an issue that needs to be fixed, then tell the customer, I'm going to address it within this time. So this is where you now pull your 4th A. So you now agree to fix, but don't apologize and leave it at that. Offer a solution, and the solution needs to be speedy. The word here is speedy. So everybody wants their issues resolved very fast. So do not offer a solution that will probably take 3 months or 5 months. Yeah. So you need to be conscious of time here. And then now it comes to the 5th A. The 5th A now has nothing to do with the customer. The 5th A is something you take back. So we started with the anticipating as a business driven. So we end with another A that is business driven. So the amend is where you now need to make a necessary process change, because you realize when we do this, the customer is not happy. So it actually looks at now internally addressing all these customer complaints and trying to see where can we make changes so that these things do not repeat themselves again. Or it's a situation where you have this issue. If it's a frontline staff is dealing with an unhappy customer, they have done everything you've provided. It's at this point where you allow them to escalate. So they can now escalate to their supervisor. So at the amend stage is where you are looking up for the next step within the business to actually ensure that this whole issue is resolved and a resolution. So those are the 5 A's. And Anastasia, I would like to probably stop there for now, and we look at any questions that have come through.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Florence. That has been pure wisdom. I am picking empathy. I am picking complaint handling. I am picking changing our minds. I am picking the 5 A's. So easy to relate with and so easy actually action. Thank you very much. I think I'll begin with a question by Precious Ivana. She's asking, is customer experience part of marketing? Is it marketing, or is it a department on its own, or where do we place customer experience?
Thank you for that question. Actually, this question, we could actually debate about it from today until maybe Jesus comes back. Because for me, and this is very personal, being a customer experience practitioner, it's just that we have been tuned to always have structures in our organizations. So where we know this falls under finance, this falls under commercial, and this is why we are still struggling today, because every organization is trying to wonder, this new bag customer experience, everybody is talking about it. Where do we want it? Where should it fall? Is it in marketing? Is it in operations? Is it under the CEO? The only simple response I can give to you is that customer experience can never be a department. The best answer I can give is that customer experience is for everybody in the organization, because when we talk about customer experience, we are looking at every interaction that a customer has with your business. So when you start thinking about the customer, the things that are happening in the background, look at finance. Ask yourself, how does finance impact customer experience? So when those payments are probably delayed, or when those finance has not processed even salaries of your internal staff, that already has an implication to the external customer. So what I would say is that customer experience does not necessarily need to be a big debate on where it reports to, or whether it is in marketing, or is it marketing or not marketing. The answer to that is, look at your organization. Ask yourself, are we adding value to the customer in terms of, after we have defined our customer experience the way Florence has taught us today, we would probably just ask ourselves, for administrative purposes, which is what it is, probably asking, okay, so that we have ownership of these actions that we have to put through, where then, whom would we give us to be in charge of it in terms of ownership, but not necessarily in terms of the department. Customer experience cannot actually be put under one department, because it will cut across the whole organization. And that is why most organizations are trying to come up with chief customer experience person, someone to stand alone to actually own it. But when they actually map up how customer experience works, there is a representative from each department. So if there is finance, there's someone reporting to the chief customer experience representing finance issues. So it is a right or a wrong answer in terms of whether it's a department. The issue is that it is actually to be owned by everybody in the organization.
Thank you, Florence. I'm conscious of the time, but I think we need to take some two very vital questions here. Somebody else called Wamboi is wondering, if I have a business that is cyclic in nature so that people don't buy from me very often, do I still need to invest in customer loyalty?
Absolutely. There's no business that should not invest in customer loyalty. The reason being, we've already seen actually first of all, we ask ourselves, when we talk about customer loyalty, what are we talking about? We're actually saying that this customer has actually made a decision, or we have actually become emotionally connected with this customer that they will just keep coming back to Wamboi. They will not go to Wanjiro's shop because they are so glued with Wamboi. So we are saying, why did they get glued to you? Why do you already call them loyal customers? Why do you think they are loyal to you? It's probably not because of the product. It's probably because they made an emotional connection with you and with your business. So it might be a business that we do every 2 years, but the fact that they made that to work with you, don't just sit and now say, I have 100 loyalty customers. You will wake up like some of those organizations that have just been thrown out of business because they know anything about it. So you still need to drive your loyalty by doing the things that we have, the 7 pillars that for those opportunities to make your processes more friendly, more convenient, look for personalization. So the pillars I spoke about would be very good opportunities to ensure that even those that are loyal to you then remain loyal to you.
Fantastic. So every business needs to spend on customer experience for loyalty. There's an interesting one here, which again might be debatable. Baba Nyambu is asking, what level is a business expected to offer an apology? And is it really necessary to respond to every complaint, even those maliciously sponsored by competitors?
Number one, we'll look at it in two phases. So I understand what he's trying to raise. For example, where we're saying the business world is competitive one. So your competitors tend to use complaints to try and bring down your reputation. But what I can actually always say is that if for this one, I would use a sieve, where you sieve out and you actually put those that are to do with your and focus on those that are really coming from your customer. Because the thing is that as much as a complaint has come through, you still need to categorize them, understand what these issues that they're actually raising. And by the way, have been raised by your competitor could actually help you improve. We've always seen our two big organizations, the pink, red, and green, wakipenda kuchongoana. But when you look at those adverts, there's something they're actually trying to eye on and actually expose the weakness of them. So instead of really saying you will not address what they think, can you look at what I said, that look at every complaint as an opportunity to learn, to improve, and to make your business. Let them bring the complaint, take advantage of it, say, this is what they are saying. How can we make it better? How can we counter this? So I would tell Baba Wambui that I would actually take them all, categorize them. Some malicious, I would probably ignore, but I wouldn't ignore because remember the reputation. So you may probably need to counter them, think positive that you're doing, because customers as much try to paint them in a different way. Those who are and know you will remain with you.
There's a question here. You had talked to us about customer service actually helping in profit making and bringing in the money. Oftentimes it is actually overlooked as an expense. How much do you tell yourself you should spend to improve the quality of service that you offer? What's the spend like?
I always love that question because it's almost very difficult to quantify the costs of customers. I look at it in the opposite. I look at it in a situation where if I do not implement the customer experience. So if we don't do those things, the facts that we learned about at the beginning, and just say, there's no point of investing in customer service. If there's anything that can convince you that you need to up your customer service, it's actually this fact. Don't wait for your organization to be part of the research. Wait to be the organization that is actually testing how objective or subjective this research was. Because time you're testing, your customers will be gone. You will be in the bracket in % of the customers who had a bad experience and they moved. So what I always say, and it's always a difficult because everybody expects that you can actually quantify maybe 10 million just to do customer service. But we're saying, even if I do not I can't quantify how this 20 million will live, supposing then I don't do anything about it, and I'm having staff that are not trained, I continue having systems that cannot do the work that cannot compete with your competitor, not resolve their issues. And believe you me, it will not even take you 3 months to go out of business. So that is actually the answer. How you quantify, actually about, I like looking at it in a more objective way. What is the gain? What do I got to get customer service? And actually that takes us to the importance of good experience that we spoke about. That is going to do all these things for you. You have to put in the billboards because the customer is already, they're the ones who will use their word of mouth to get me more business. They will referral. They will tell 20 people about my business. So they'll come back. So it's more of looking at the benefits, implementing good customer experience practices to looking at it as a cost.
Thank you, Florence. The very final one, because the rest we will send them to you, and when you answer, we'll post them on our page. Ali Satino is asking, in customer experience, how does one identify where the problems are? You know, the anticipation you've spoken to us, how do we identify where problems are, where customers haven't spoken up?
Where customers have not spoken about?
Yes, where else would we identify problems?
One of the things that we need to do is something that we do, or we call customer journey mapping. So in the customer journey mapping, for those who have not heard, it's actually a very simple through your customer journey, just like it says. So your customer, I'll give you an example where all of you, a supermarket, where do I begin to find out where the issues are with the customer? So you need to map. So you start looking at your customer from the moment they want to do business. So you start from the gate, for example. So from the moment the customer is driving through our gate into our location, walk through that journey. So you actually personalize that journey. So you take that customer and walk through the journey. The customer from the gate, they are looking at the parking. So how is the parking? Is it available? So you take, in terms of parking, because the parking makes them decide whether they'll come back. So you go through that whole park, availability of the trolleys, whether they are clean, the staff, the display, the accessibility. So that's what you exactly need to look out in your business, because we are all from different businesses. So you walk through your customer journey, and with those journeys, now try and pick. You're human. You actually role model. You actually put yourself in the customer shoe and you literally walk that journey, and you'll actually be able the points where you feel, yeah, this one we need to change, to improve. This one we need to. So in customer experience, we call it trying to identify the moments and the pains. The best moments you keep, you need to resolve them. I hope that answers.
Actually, it does. It actually answers exactly what she was asking, I believe, because it's in the journey that we identify what problems the customers will be facing that they haven't been able to. Time has not been fair to us, Florence. We feel like we want to have you more. We've not really exhausted having you, and I want to believe we'll be coming back to you. If you could kindly post your contact so that anybody who might want to come and have a word with you, get to know Maple, to understand everything about this customer experience on a personal level, so that now you can speak into their particular business. They would be able to see it. So her contacts are there, and we'll be posting them on all our pages. We'll also be posting them to our WhatsApp so that everybody can have them, and we can be able to, if anybody would want to also get these nuggets that we have, we'll be able to be sending those ones through with Florence's approval, of course. Florence, thank you so much. We need to finish this lunch hour. We need to close on this lunch hour. Any final goodbye for us?
Thank you. It's been an amazing experience having you. I appreciate that you time to me. I'll be looking to hear any feedback that you through, any questions through Anastasia, and I'll try and give them the feedback. Let us go out and look out for opportunities to improve our customer experience. Like we're saying, customer experience will bring us growth in our organizations that will also drive our profitability. So I wish you well. I pray that you learn something that you can go and implement right from afternoon. Thank you, Anastasia, for having me. everybody. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a lovely weekend.
God bless you too. Thank you very much, everybody. This is Springboard Capital. Remember, should you have a need for your financing, feel free to talk to us. We will walk the journey with you. We will speak. We will look into your books and see what it is that you need. We will craft a solution that is suitable for you so that you're able to make your repayments as comfortably as possible. This is Springboard Capital, your lending hand. Thank you very much.